Effective problem solving requires us to use critical, creative, and practical thinking skills. What is thinking? Well, thinking is what happens when you ask questions and you try to find an answer to those questions. Asking questions, therefore, requires us to think, and thinking leads to learning. So, true learning means we need to ask questions. Kids learn remarkably fast. Why is that? Well, they're asking questions all the time. These are actual questions that my kids have asked me. Why is the sky blue? Why is the ocean blue, but water from the tap's clear? When lightning strikes the ocean, why don't all the fish die? What do clouds feel like? Why do sharks only live in salt water? Why do dogs chase cats? Why doesn't McDonald's sell hot dogs? If ghosts can walk around, and if they can go through doors, why don't they fall through the floor? Why does the Easter Bunny carry eggs? Rabbits don't lay eggs. Why is poop brown? Why is bird poop white? Why don't animals talk? Do plants talk? Why are people different colors? Do butterflies remember being caterpillars? Why does a boat made out of steel float? These are the types of questions that my kids are constantly asking me. No wonder they learn so much and so fast. It makes my head hurt. Well, if effective problem solving uses critical, creative, and practical thinking skills, let's take a closer look. Critical thinking. Critical thinking involves identifying a problem. It involves gathering information that we think will be useful in solving that problem. Sorting through the information and getting rid of information that's not helpful and keeping the information that we think will be helpful. And then determining, what have I discovered by looking at all this information that I think is going to be helpful? Creative thinking. Creative thinking involves coming up with new ideas. And these new ideas lead to unique solutions. Kids are very creative. Again, one of the reasons they learn so much and they're such excellent problem solvers. Here's my son. Adam says to me one day, let's build a robot pirate dinosaur with a rocket launcher, heat vision, and he's got to be able to shoot cotton candy out of his mouth. Now that's pretty creative. Well, here's the plan. Here's reality. But you got to be impressed by the creativity. Practical thinking. This involves common sense. It's a real-world focus. And asking ourselves, is this solution going to work? And then applying what we learned from our past experiences so that we can solve a new problem. So, to make good decisions, we need to use all three kinds of thinking skills. We need analytical thinking so that we can properly identify a problem. We need creative thinking so that we can come up with imaginative possible solutions. We need to once again use our analytical thinking so that we can evaluate all the creative ideas that we came up with. Some of them may not be practical. And finally, we need practical thinking to plan and implement our solution. So, creativity acts like a bridge that connects critical and practical thinking. This is my daughter, and she asked me if she can have a dog. So this is the dog that I gave her. Now the problem that we have with this dog is that it's got plastic feet and we have a hardwood slippery floor. He couldn't move. He was slipping on the floor every time you called him. He's supposed to be able to come to you. So the dog's not happy. So I spend the day using my critical, creative, and practical thinking skills trying to figure out what to do. Well, I've spent over 15 years in post-secondary education. And in that time, I've definitely honed my analytical thinking skills. So I identified the problem. The dog won't come. Why? Well, it's slippery. One type of thinking skills I've not developed too much, perhaps, is my creative thinking. So naturally, I jump straight to the most complicated solution. I'm thinking about stopping by Home Depot and picking up some rubber pads and somehow gluing them to the bottom of the dog's feet so that it could move. Well, I get home from work, and what do I find? Techno has rubber slippers made from balloons. My daughter put balloons on Techno's feet. Problem solved. He's now got traction so he can come when you call him. A very, very creative solution, much simpler than what I had planned, and it works. And she likes the way Techno looks with his slippers. Another problem. My son's airplane lands on the roof and gets stuck. How do we solve this problem? Well, my superior analytical skills are at work, and I determine the problem is we need to get the plane down. Well, my son, who's also 6 years old, also identified the problem correctly. My suggested solution is we don't have a ladder that's long enough. Let's wait for a windy day, wait for the plane to come blowing down, and then we'll retrieve it. The problem that we have, though, is that that's not necessarily the best solution. It's certainly not a creative solution. We may not be able to retrieve the airplane. It might blow away or it might get destroyed in the landing. What does my son come up with? You may be familiar with a golf ball retriever. This is a extendable pole with a cup on the end of it. And if your golf ball goes into the water, you can pluck it out with this long pole. He goes into the garage, gets the golf ball retriever. We reach up and grab the airplane. He gets his airplane back. Problem solved. Much better solution than the solution that I came up with of waiting for the wind to blow it down. It was immediate, it was effective, it was certainly creative, and it solved a practical problem. So, effective problem solving uses critical, creative, and practical thinking skills. Creativity is extremely important. It forms the bridge between critical and practical thinking. It allows us to find new solutions that work.